allow me to first work with CHL Africa as the social media manager and content developer. Nice to meet you, and I'm so glad and happy to be here. Well, I would love to meet you. So in the chat, can you just please put your name, where you're calling from, or where you're joining from, rather, and one positive change you'd like to see in Africa. Oh, nice. Hi, Alami. You're joining from Lagos. Wow, oh, good to see you. Look forward to sustainability in Africa. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Hi, guys. Yes, you can just put it in the chat. You don't have to speak. Thank you. Oh, nice to meet you. Hi, Simon. We'd love to meet you. Okay. Okay, hi, Blessing. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Once again, for those joining in, we are introducing ourselves. Okay, I have one here. Hi, good afternoon. Nice to meet you, Simon. So please, let's just put our name, where we are calling from, and one positive change we'd like to see in Africa. Let's not be shy about it. Okay, nice to meet you, Simon. Nice to meet you. Hi, Elizabeth, joining from Abuja. Hi. Okay, Elizabeth said she enlisted an African where every child has access to quality education regardless of political status. Oh, nice. Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, William, joining from Plateau State. Hi. I want to see full rights applied for all children in Africa. Sure, sure. Hi, Adekunle, nice to meet you. Joining from FCT Abuja. Look forward to Africa becoming a world power as a continent. Nice, thank you. Nice to see you joining. Hi, Julie, thanks for joining in. Okay. Blessing, nice to meet you, Blessing. Joining from Abuja, she look forward to no child being left behind regardless of their disability. Nice to meet you. Hi, Olumide, nice to meet you. Okay, I see your reaction. Okay, is there anyone else I'm missing? Please, if you've not introduced yourself, please do so. Please, we want to meet you. Yes, please do, please kindly do. Okay. Oh, great. Great joining in, Julie Marshall Akene from Uganda. Oh, nice to meet you, Marshall from Uganda. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I look forward. Okay, waiting for more people to join me while the introduction is ongoing, so we can start right straight into it without any delay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Hi. Okay, I think someone is just trying. All right. Oh, Anolua, finally. Hi, nice to meet you. From Ilefe, Nigeria. I look forward to Africa that allows good dreams. Africa must change the way it tackles poverty. From Kenya, I welcome everyone. You're welcome once again to this momentous day of reimagining Africa's narrative. Today we are gathered virtually rather, to embark on a transformative journey that will help us to. So I work for CHL Africa. CHL Africa is Charas Havens Limited Africa. Yes. And our mission is to rebrand Africa through the production, dissemination, and sponsorship of content and brands that will embody Africans across the globe. So this is our very first AfroChamps event, and I'm so glad that we're doing this together in collaboration with Africa Comes With. Yes, so this our first program is themed AfroChamp, Overcoming Obstacles and Creating Impacts in the African continent. And we celebrate the remarkable resilience and boundless creativity of young Africans who have conquered adversities and achieved remarkable feats. So we'll be having an amazing panel session, and we have our panelists from all across Africa. We have two from Nigeria, someone from South Africa, and someone from Kenya. And these inspiring young leaders will share their stories of their triumph, innovation, and progress, and they will inspire us all to believe the limitless potential that lies within this continent. So today is not just about inspiration, it's also about connecting, forging connections. And amazingly, today we're going to be having a networking session, in form of like a breakout session where we meet people and we connect more. This whole event is just for an hour, 30 minutes, and I would just like to tell everyone that we should all stay till the end. Like we shouldn't sneak out before the end of the event. Yes, so today we'll be sharing ideas, bonding and building a vibrant community of like-minded individuals who are dedicated to African growth and prosperity. Through the interactive discussions and networking, you have the chance to engage with fellow participants, you exchange perspective, contribute to the collective vision and a stronger and more vibrant Africa, which is what we're looking forward to. So today we're going to have an amazing session, and now I'll be handing over to our moderator, who is going to introduce us to our panelists, and we'll start this amazing session. You're welcome once again to this extraordinary event, and let us begin the transformative journey together. Over to you, Ayomide, our moderator for today's event.
Hello, Africa. Good afternoon and welcome to this event. This is AfroChampions. We are overcoming obstacles and creating impact. Happy to see a lot of people on the call. Nice to meet you all. And I hope you can also invite others who perhaps maybe your friends or colleagues who have registered for the event that yes, we've started and we're getting right into it. Thank you so much for your time. And just now I'll be introducing our speakers. We have our first panelist for today, and that's Mildred Tabane. Mildred Tabane is the founder. Hi, Mildred. Nice to meet you and welcome to the call. She is the founder of Pekuzi project, and she will be introducing herself during the course of the meeting. Also, I have here with me Waiga Muturiu is from Kenya as well, and he leads Let's Create Africa. Please, Waiga, say hi if you're on the call.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be on the call.
Thank you so much. And also we have Sarah Ubana, who is Nigerian, and she leads AZA Initiative. Hi, Sarah. Please let me know if you can hear me.
Hi, great to be here.
You're welcome. Okay, and The last panelist who is Babayemi Olaniyo. I don't see him on the call, but I hope he joins very soon. All right, so we'll just get right into it. Please ensure that during this session, you mute your mic. And if you have any questions, there will be opportunities for that. So at that point, I would ask that you write it in the chat room or you raise your hand if you would like to speak directly. I look forward to an exciting session and I hope that we learn a lot from this panel session. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm just going to set the ball rolling now by asking my first speaker, that's Mildred Tabani, to please introduce herself and tell us how she's making a difference in Africa. Over to you.
Hello, everybody. Happy Africa Day. My name is Mildred, as mentioned before, and I am the founder of Pekuzi Projects Africa. We are based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And how we are making a difference is we are really working with international organizations to create sustainable and long-term CSI solutions across Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mildred. Happy to meet you. Let's go over to Waiga Muturi. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you're making a difference in Africa.
And thank you very much for this. And I'm looking forward to see how this goes on. My name is Wahiga Muturi, and I'm a serial social entrepreneur. I run the company called Let's Create Africa as a co-founder and CEO. And what we do at Let's Create Africa is that we are a PR, comms, and media organization, an entrepreneur support organization that actually leverages on PR, comms, and media to create and build bridges and fill gaps within people at the bottom of the pyramid. And so that is the main thing that we do to actually solve the problems within Africa, because I believe personally that Africa must change the way it tackles poverty. And it would be by raising a lot of more social entrepreneurs. It will be by educating more people and empowering more Africans, and especially the youth. We are the youth, so I can't speak for other youth. I'm also saying as one of the youth, we need to be more empowered and more put in spaces where we can be in leadership and do more. And so that's the list of what I do within my space, my sphere of influence. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Waiga. Hi, Sarah. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you're making a difference in Africa.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from my side. My name is Sarah, and I am the founder and CEO of Azar Initiative. And I work with older persons to enable them live a holistic and enjoyable life by providing access to sustainable and affordable healthcare services and social welfare within the rural communities. So this is my way of solving the problem in Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I see that Babayemi Olaniyo is now on the call. Hi, Babayemi. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you're making a difference in Africa.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Nice to be here. My name is Babayemi Olaniyo, and I'm the lead partner of Leia Attorneys. I also run my foundation called Leia Social Impact Foundation. What we're doing is to use social projects to help members of the society. So what we do is we pick up projects and see how we could solve a problem that the community needs. The last project we did was to build a school for a remote community in Nasarawa State. So aside other projects that we do here and there. So it's nice to be here, and it's nice to connect a lot of Nigerians and Africans that are contributing towards the growth and development of Africans of Africa for Africans and Nigeria for Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you all, and I'm happy that we are all here. So I'll move on to my next question, and I'll be directing it to Babayemi Olaniyo. Why are you passionate about Africa's development, and why do you choose to solve the problems of putting smiles on people's faces through your initiative? We're curious about the why. What's your motivation, really?
Okay, so my motivation is driven from a desire to leave impact. So I say something that my friend usually frowns on me about, which is that we're not here for love, right? And I mean, nobody's dying, right? But yeah, and then we're remembered by things that we've done. So we must find ways to contribute, to create lasting contributions towards society. And personally, I enjoy the projects that I do. So every project I've done so far or that I've been able to do, I've enjoyed it from school to a Valentine's program, to Christmas at the hospital, to all the project smiles that we've done. It gives a sense of fulfillment that I've been able to contribute to someone's life. I've been able to contribute towards the growth and development of Nigeria, towards the growth and development of Africa. So I mean, when you're pointing at, oh, who are 10 people that have done something substantial for the environment, I'll be among that list. And also my children, when I have children, and they come and say, okay, Daddy, what did you do for Nigeria? What did you do for Africa when you still had the strength and the mind to and the knowledge? So I'm going to say, okay, I did so and so project, I did so and so project, and this project is still standing. And people and it has a ripple effect. For example, the school that was just that we finished in January, the children there would eventually go to secondary school. From secondary school, they go to university, they serve their country, and eventually they're able to give back to their community, and also able to contribute towards nation's growth and development. So the fact that I'm contributing towards a sustainable system, towards people empowerment and social impact is my driver, and the happiness that comes with it. Yeah.
Interesting perspective. I like that you are very particular about people's happiness. Yeah, if people are happy, they are excited or pumped or have the energy to even do more, right? And I think that also we create a ripple effect on the long run to say these people to being beneficiaries of your own project initiative will also go out there to implement similar projects and further benefit people, right? Thank you so much. So I would like to move to Mildred, right? Mildred, I'll be asking you the same question. Why are you passionate about Africa's development? And why did you choose that problem that you are solving? That's the problem of telling African stories differently and uniquely, right? Please, let's share your thoughts.
As an African, I think that, we have a very big role to play. And I find that where we have a lot of potential, we are just not investment ready. And that's a lot of the work that I'm doing. I come across a lot of international organizations, multinational organizations who really want to do a lot for Africa, but they just don't know where to start in terms of creating, number one, solutions that are addressing the needs on the ground, and solutions that are sustainable. And I think that's quite important for me, is how do we create long-term sustainable solutions that are actually addressing the needs on the ground? I think Africans are tired of seeing companies come in and go. And I think especially the youth, we are living in such a connected world, and we know that we have so much to offer. So I'm really, really passionate about getting young Africans, getting young women to realize, how do they pitch themselves? How do we become investment ready? How do we partner with global organizations to really make a tangible difference on this continent, and really help them find solutions that are addressing the needs we have, not the needs they think we have, but what are the things that we need to address on the ground? And that's really the work that I've been doing for the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mildred. This is really impressive. And thank you for doing the work that you do in ensuring that we also have that entrepreneurship mindset, right, as Africans. So this will lead me to the next question I'm going to direct towards Waiga. I know that you organize programs or some webinars where it brings people that's young Africans who are doing business here and there and helping them amplify their voice as well and then share their stories. So do you think, Waiga, that we have the resources and opportunities to empower young people to make a difference in their world? I know some people, they have the passion, they are interested, but do we have resources and opportunities, or most of the young Africans are not seeing them? I would like to know what your thoughts are. Over to you, Waiga, if you could hear me.
Hey, sorry, I didn't hear you at all. Could you please repeat that?
Okay, so following Mildred's comment about entrepreneurship and investment in Africa, and knowing that you also organize some webinars for young people who are doing into business, especially small and medium size enterprises, I would like to know if you think that we have resources and opportunities available to young Africans to empower them in their efforts to make a difference in Africa. So I would like to know, do you think they have access to resources and opportunities? Do those resources and opportunities even exist in the first place, right? So these are
Okay. Thank you for that. Actually, borrowing from what she said is that, I mean, Africa is our home. So if we don't build it, who will build it for us? So, I mean, isn't that, it sounds, it always sounded obvious. It always looks obvious until you realize, oh, I'm actually here. I'm not living in another country or another continent and then thinking, oh, Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, etc. No, I live there. So I think maybe I should start from there. And then when you talk about the resources, I mean, what if push business? If you think about it, land, labor.
I think the network is bad from Waiga's end. Can anyone confirm if they can hear him or me? So I just know where the problem is coming from. Thank you.
We can hear you.
Okay, so it's Waiga. Let's give him. I think it's back. Hi, Waiga, can you hear us? Okay, so while we just wait for Waiga's connection to be restored, I will just direct my question to Sarah now. Okay, Sarah, I would like to ask you the first question I'd ask because your initiative is very unique. You see towards empowering old people and aged people in Africa, particularly Nigeria, right? And I find that very interesting. Please tell me your motivation and why did you choose that field or why did you choose to solve that problem?
All right, thank you very, very much. I hear this question a lot, and as cliche as it might sound, my motivation is actually love. Yeah, interesting, yeah. For as long as I can remember, I've always had a heart for older persons. And growing up, I got to realize that, yes, as Africans, it's our duty to take care of our elderly ones, you know. But over the years, that tradition has slipped away. So now you are faced with a lot of neglect, a lot of abuse, a lot of health issues. In Nigeria, particularly, we don't have human rights protections for older persons. So you see, there aren't any special treatment or special laws put in place. For example, if an older person needs a medical care or when it comes to transportation or when it comes to pension, you know, so it has always been a bother to me. And as little as I was like, you know, when I grow up, I'll definitely do something about it because we all pray to get old, but then we forget that, you know, part of long life means old age. So if we don't set the systems now, or if we don't set the standards now on how we are supposed to be treated when we are in our 60s or 70s, then it's going to be a loop and a ripple effect. So that's, honestly, love is my driving motivation. We could do better. We could treat our older persons a lot more better. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. And it's interesting also that what you said is very valid. We want long life, but sometimes we don't even think about the fact that old age is part of long life. And we need to also create systems that works for us so that when we are old or in the process of living long, we are not neglected when we are old. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was very useful. So I think Waiga is back and we are happy to hear from you again. Yes. So you were telling us about land, labor as some basic resources for business, right? If I'm correct. Hi, Waiga, you can speak if you can hear me.
Oh, great. Can you hear me now? Is it
Yes.
any better?
Yes, very
Oh,
good.
good. Thank you. Sorry about that. Could you please tell me where I left from?
So we heard where I stopped hearing was where you were talking about land and labor as important resources. I guess you were making a list.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, good. So I was talking about the three things that women need for business: land, labor, capital. And when you think about it, all the three things are already in Africa and in abundance. When you think about land, Africa is one of the biggest continents in the world, contrary to popular belief. But Google and Wikipedia can help you actually get the math. When we think about labor, Africa has 75% labor in terms of youth. The youth bulge is real, and that's good labor actually when you think about it. And last but not least, when you think about capital, I mean, Africa is a producer of everything, a manufacturer of little, and a processor of nearly zero. So what can we do about that? And that's the question, because we are at a place where we don't do value add. And so my company is about value addition, and value addition in terms of speaking, what can you bring to the market? What can you bring to the table? Because as it's always said, and some of our leaders say it, some don't, Africa is either at the table as one of the guests or it's part of the menu. So what are you? Yeah.
Either part of the guest or on the menu, as you said. All right, very interesting. Okay, I don't know if Baba Yemi is on the call. Just check right away. Okay, I don't think so. So Mildred, would like to hear your voice again. And I will just be asking, what are some of these effective strategies for raising awareness? I know you're in PR and communications, and that's why I'm asking this question. That what are some of the effective strategies for raising awareness and mobilizing support for youth-led initiatives? Because I know that quite a number of people, or there are a number of young people that are making impacts in their little corners across Africa. But one of the challenges that their voices are not amplified. People don't hear them, or maybe just a few people in their corner know about them. So what do you think we can do, or what effective strategies do you think participants on this call, or even those who will be watching this video later, can do to implement, to raise their voice, increase their awareness, so that people can see them, show them support, and also further expand their reach, right? So I'll pause here for your response.
Oh, her name is Cynthia.
Thank you so much. I think that's a great
Her name is
question.
Cynthia.
I find that one of the biggest issues that we have on the continent is we still see ourselves as individual countries. My colleague mentioned earlier on, we are all Africans, and we need to see ourselves as participants of this continent. I find that people in South Africa are not working with people in Zimbabwe, are not working with people in Nigeria. And I think that's why we are still not getting our voices heard enough. I think if Africans can come together, and really come together and take advantage of, the power of the social media platforms that we have to really amplify our voices, but come together as one Africa. I think we still see ourselves as individual countries, and that's why we find that we don't really have the power to boost the initiatives that we have, and we can't really amplify them on a global scale. I think we need to really empower our traditional media platforms. If you look at our journalists on the continent, the quality of traditional media, I believe, can really be bettered. We really need to train our journalists. We really need to invest in our traditional media platforms, because we're the ones who need to tell our stories. But you find that we are more telling European American stories because those are the people that are investing in our media platforms, and we're not doing it for ourselves. So if Africans can come together, and if the continent can work together to shape those stories, and if we can really get our media to really tell our stories and invest in those platforms, I think it will do a great way of amplifying voices.
Thank you so much. So what I hear is there's a need to empower our own media houses. While it's important to leverage social media, but bear in mind, most of the social media platforms that we have that are very popular are not even owned by Africans, right? So if we're going to tell our own stories, we should tell it on our own platforms and make it even very loud. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I also like the fact that we should also invest in media, in our media. So if you are somewhere on this call and you're imagining or thinking, oh, people are doing great stuff in Africa, I would like to do something, this is a cue that you might try this out. What do you think about helping out with our media houses, making them better, making them up to standard, and also ensuring that we can use these platforms to also amplify our own projects, right? Thank you so much. So I just dropped in the chat room that if you have any questions for our panelists, you can start sending them in while I still continue asking some so that we can start answering them on the go. All right, I think Baba Yemi is back, and I would just like to ask him one more question, and that would be, how can we foster collaboration and networking among young Africans to amplify their impact and create a larger ripple effect? I'm asking Baba Yemi this question because Baba Yemi's initiative is never done alone. It's always pulling together a group of friends to go out to the hospital, to visit the prison, to build a school, or reach out to young people. So I would like to know if you can share with us how we can foster collaboration and networking among young Africans. And this is even beyond just a particular country. I like that this conversation is driving towards us all coming together as a continent. We are all participants in Africa, and we are not just, oh, I'm a Nigerian, oh, I'm Kenyan, oh, I'm from South Sudan, whatever. Yeah. So please, Baba Yemi.
Thank you very much, everybody. I realized that I'll use this example, right? To build a sand castle, a child can build a sand castle alone. But to build a building, you will need a bricklayer, you will need an architect, you will need a quantity surveyor, you will need a mason. What am I trying to say in essence? To build bigger, you need bigger, right? So for you to have bigger impact, you need to have more people, more quality people, right? And I'm glad about my network. My network of friends are the most amazing set of people ever, right? So each time there's a need for us to execute a project, they're all eager. Like I have eager people ready to always execute the project, ready to put resources together, right? Ready to think, and ready to create impact, right? So it's collaboration is key. So imagine that we as Africans, so say I'm in Nigeria, we have someone in South Africa, we have another person in Kenya, right? And then we all come together and we think of a project. Say a project where people can go to in every country to maybe get like a free directory to a place, or where you can go to, and if you get to that particular place, you can get free access to certain facilities because there's already a close network of Africans. So more like what government is trying to do with the free trade zones, but now on a private scale. So where, for example, someone comes to Nigeria and says, oh, I'm looking for this and this, and then because there's already a network, I'm ready in Nigeria, I'm ready to say, okay, yes, so this is it. I'll help you with this, I'll help you with that. And I travel to South Africa and I'm like, okay, I don't know in South Africa. And I have someone in South Africa and I'm like, okay, is this possible? And the person, so a network is very important, right? Because with that network, you can do more. So someone who wants to build a facility, want to help a community, maybe drill a borehole, or to light up a community, or to provide education to a community. Imagine you want to do it, say, in Sudan now, right? So imagine I in Nigeria, someone in South Africa, someone in Kenya, someone in Ethiopia, someone in Rwanda coming together to provide aid, not just quick aid, to provide sustainable aid in Sudan. It's going to have a larger scale rather than just Yemi in Nigeria or Nayenga or Nakayenga doing something on our own. It is going to be better when we collaborate. There's a popular saying that when you have a single strand of broom, it's easier to break. But when you have a a broom in its full bunch is harder to bend, how much more breaking. So collaboration is key. Collaboration is key. We need to collaborate, we need to network, and we need to collaborate. I hope you answered the questions, Ayomide.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I see someone in the chat, Blessing Iyakwe, saying yes to networking. We can't truly ever make a definite and effective change in the world alone. Together we are better. Thank you so much for your contribution, Blessing. And thank you, Babayemi. Very amazing. And I think that's very true. There was something I wrote down, ensuring that the impacts we make is also very sustainable. I think that's also important. So you see a lot of young Africans doing carrying out projects or implementing changes in Africa, but they're doing it in silos. One, their voices are not loud enough because maybe they are not amplified, or they don't have the resources to amplify their voices. Two is that then it makes it difficult to even sustain such projects. So it's important, but by the time you collaborate, you're expanding your reach, you're expanding your access as well to people. And also there is that high chance that such projects or such initiatives would be sustained over a long period of time. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would, does anyone have any question? I'm trying to look through the chat box to ensure I didn't miss any if there is. Okay, I don't see any question yet. So I will just ask Sarah now, what long-term, okay, I think I should talk about, let me ask you this. How feasible is the African Union Agenda 2063? And what do you think we can do to make it a reality? We'll be playing a video anyways shortly after the panel session to explain what the African Union Agenda 2063 is about. I know that maybe quite a number of people have been saying that around and they are curious to know what's that about. But then I will just ask Sarah now to just give us an insight. How feasible do you think that Agenda 2063 is? And what do you think we can do to make it a reality?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And I have been learning a lot. And one thing I would say is, I was looking through the 20-point agenda earlier today, and I was comparing it with the 17 SDGs.
Yeah.
And you know, there's so much similarity with it. And I'm excited because this is so very unique to Africa. Like Wainga said, Africa is home, right? We live in Africa. So it's more personal for us because we live in Africa and we face the day-to-day issues that comes with the challenges we want to solve. So, and I would want to ride on the back of both Mildred and Yemi when we talk about collaborations and sustainability, because you can't go far alone. I once had a very great man by the name of Arametukula, and he said that if you run projects and all you do is provide food and clothes, then you're running a dead project. You know, your projects should be able to empower the people that you're trying to meet their needs. That your project should be able to teach them how to live sustainable lives with or without your help. Do you see? And I feel, and that got me thinking, and that's very important. And that's linking to, you know, the African Union agenda. All I saw there was, how can we make Africa better? How can we ensure that we have the Africa that we are all proud of, and we are not guests in our own country? Do you see? So I see it very, very, very visible. If we work together, it's not going to be easy. I promise you. There's going to be a lot of work put into it. It's not going to be easy, but if we can come together and we know our craft, you know exactly what you're doing. You're not boycotting, you're not micromanaging, you're not living up to the African expectations that other continents know. You are actually putting in the work. I believe that in the next 50 years, because that's the duration, right? We can be able to achieve the Africa we want to see. We can be able to achieve the Africa we want to see, and we cannot do it alone. You can't go far alone, you know. And you should learn to speak out, speak about what you do, be proud of what you do. You know, don't try to say, oh, no, be proud of what you do. You know, so as we speak, we know, okay, this is the help I need here. This is the help I need here. Who do I need to be this, to come together to do this? So yeah, I believe it's visible. If we work together, if we collaborate and set sustainable systems in place, It's not about, like I said, it's not about giving food and just close, then you disappear for the next 12 months, then you come back next year again. No. It's teaching these people that are trying to solve their issues how they can be empowered to have a life of their own, with or without your organization being present. And I believe that's what the African Union agenda is trying to achieve alongside the SDG goals. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. Very useful. And I think one takeaway, from this meeting, right, will be proud of what you do. Be proud of what you do, because if you are proud of what you do, I mean, you're changing Africa, you're making a change, no matter how little that is. And I like the fact that you mentioned something about not giving food or clothes. Not that you shouldn't do that, but ensure that it's a sustainable approach, right? Ensure that you're actually solving something so that tomorrow they don't come to look for you for food, or tomorrow they don't come to look for you for clothes. And I think that's why Iga's code says Africa must be able to change the way we tackle poverty. His answer is already raised. So, okay, over to you, Waiga.
Thank you for that. It's actually Sarah who has given me some impetus to talk about this.
Okay.
I think it first begins with us knowing, first and foremost, what is the AU 2063? It's nice talking about it as a buzzword, but do you even really know what it is? I see somebody actually saying on the comments, the agenda can only be achieved when our leaders are doing the right things. And so my question is, are you the leader, or you want to give it to somebody else? Are you delegating it to somebody else? Because the question then would be, are we starting by leading ourselves before we tell others they're leaders? Because even how we elect our leaders is a good reflection on who we are. So are we first leaders before we try to talk about other people leading us? So let's start with, let me start with even just doing a basic education. So the African Union Agenda 2063, as we know, is a bold and ambitious plan for the future of Africa. And the things it aims to transform within the continent is a prosperous, peaceful, and integrated community by 2063. And that's why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Agreement is really going how it is going. But the question always is, it's ambitious. Is it feasible? And definitely it can be feasible if all we are doing is looking at other leaders instead of looking at ourselves as leaders before we start saying, oh, these guys are doing nothing. But the question is, are you doing something? So my challenge to people within this community and the people that we have is, so how do we make it possible? How do we make it feasible? And number one is educate yourself on what it is first. Let it not be a buzzword, but be a real word that you actually understand. And so when you do that, then you go to the next stage, which is involve your community. Get involved, personally get involved in your community by volunteering, participating in community events, or even running for office so that you're actually the leader. We now are like, hey, are you really doing what you said you're meant to do? And while you do that, remember people like Sandra and the rest of the people across the world that you can actually look out to, because that's even how you get involved in your community. Your community is not in Nairobi, Kenya. Your community is in Africa. Yes. Remember that. Once you change that, it unlocks a lot of potential. Then I've talked about educating yourself. I've talked about supporting other organizations that are working to implement the African Union Agenda 2063. And I think all of us within here are supporting that as much as we support the SDGs. So the question is, are all of you buying from my organization or vice versa? Am I buying from Sandra? Am I buying from somebody else within this community? Am I buying from DL, Desmond? Am I buying from people within this community? And be it service or goods, am I buying from my community of Africans? And last but not least is be a role model by showing other young people that this is possible. Showing them that you have a commitment, that you can make a difference, because they look at you to know if they can do it. And so that's really the way we can make Africa Union Agenda 2063 come to pass. And truth is, majority of us will be here in 2063. So the question is, will we be here as basic people or as leaders within our communities? And last but not least, just as Sandra said,
Hello.
let me hello.
Hi, Mildred. I see your hand
Hello.
out.
Last but not least, as I'm closing up on it, so I hold a conversation, and thank you, Sandra, for reminding me to do this. I hold a conversation called "Let's Create Africa," a webinar I do every week where I talk with leaders on business innovation, governance, and the SDGs. And the question is always, do you even know what those three things are as an African community? And for those who don't know where to find it, please find it in the chat box. You can find the link. Please subscribe, like, share. Let's talk. Thank you. Mildred, come through.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on what Wanga was saying, and I think for me the conversation of leadership is really important on the continent. While I definitely agree that we all need to be leaders, we all have a role to play, we all influence someone within our communities. We need to educate ourselves. We need to know what these agendas are. What are they aiming to achieve? But I think we also need to hold the people that we have chosen to be leaders accountable. If you look at South Africa at the moment, we are dealing with rolling blackouts, for example, stuff that the government needs to address. It is causing small businesses to go back, to regress years and years and years, because we are not holding our governments and the leaders we have chosen to account. There are infrastructure issues, there are socioeconomic issues that are taking us back decades, because we elect leaders, they do what they want, and then nothing happens. And if you look at countries like the Western nations, where their governments are making sure that small businesses, big businesses are flourishing. In Africa, it's like every man for himself. So it's nice that we have these agendas, but I think the people that we have chosen also need to be held into account. And I think the youth of today really recognize that. And I think that's why we're seeing so much of the upsurgence in the different countries. We've seen it in Nigeria. I have a feeling we're going to see it in South Africa when we have our big elections next year. But we need more of that. People need to know that you cannot be put in a place, be a leader, and then not be accountable.
Absolutely. I'm very big on accountability myself, and I think it's important. I hear Waiga and I hear Mildred. While everybody should be a leader in their space, and by that we mean that you should be making a change, you should be committed to doing great stuff, right? And also not just pointing accusing fingers at some select people. And I think part of that change, part of that responsibility as citizens is also ensuring that you're patriotic, and you're ensuring that you're also putting the right people in place so that you can hold them accountable for whatever or the plans they propose to make in Africa. This is really interesting, and I'm super excited that we're having this conversation here. So now again, I'm asking if you have any question, if there's anyone on the call who has a question that you would like to ask the panelists. Now is the time, the floor is open for you. This is an opportunity to engage them. So let me know, please, if you have questions. Anybody? Okay, I'm looking through. Okay. I think at this point, we can call it a day. But before that, I will just ask one more question round, right? So, and that would be, if you have a magic wand, and I'm asking, okay, I see Comrade Decency now has the question. Hi, Comrade Decency. I'm not sure if that's your name, but you can speak, please. You can ask your question. So mute yourself and speak. Thank you. Hi, Comrade, can you hear me? I see that you've raised your hand. You can unmute your mic and speak. Or would you prefer to type in your question? Okay. Hello.
Hello,
Okay.
good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good
Can you hear
afternoon.
me? Good afternoon.
Now, I could hear you earlier. I can't hear you again if you are speaking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Yeah, I really thank the for platform, an educative platform, and I really that there is an agenda being set by the African Union for the good and the development of the Africa. So I don't know if
I can't really hear you clearly, actually. I don't know if you can type.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Okay, it's clear now. Yes, please. Good afternoon. Please ask you.
Okay. Okay, what I'm really trying to say is that I want to thank the organizers for this platform. You know, it's my first time hearing that that the African Union has really set agenda for for programs and betterment and the development of Africans. So I want to ask, is it that they have the goals to achieve? Maybe, for example, in terms of education, providing social amenities to the communities and so on. Sorry for maybe taking you back on that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Thank you. I understand that. So shortly after this, we're going to be playing a video detailing what the Africans Agenda 2063 is all about. And then you get to see that there are 7 aspirations for the agenda. And that goes to speaking to political stability and some other points that will be listed at that point. But I don't know if Waiga, Mildred, or Sarah would like to speak to this question. Or we just have something to say. Okay. So, like I said, we'll just play the video. Okay, I think you want to say something.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see how best to summarize it. So the AU Agenda 2063, as I said, is a blueprint for the future of Africa. I think that's the easiest way to say it. A blueprint for the future of Africa. I know there are political conversations around that because at times people wonder, is the blueprint a Western idea for us, or is it actually an African idea for Africa? So, but those are the politics within that conversation. You can look further for that. Hopefully, hopefully you can put a link for people for the AU Agenda 2063. But that said, the agenda is based on 7 aspirations, as has been said. Prosperous Africa, driven by inclusive and sustainable economic growth and development. So economy, the second one would be an integrated continent, and that's why AfCFTA is a big deal. 3, peaceful and secure Africa. If you watched the Mo Ibrahim conference that happened in Kenya last month, Mo Ibrahim, there was a lot of conversation around that, with especially Kagame being, President Kagame being AU chairman currently. Then there's an Africa of good governance, democracy and human rights, which has been a conversation and also an action that has been taken upon by various presidents within the continent. There's a strong voice for global affairs, and that's why our president, William Ruto, His Excellency William Ruto, addressed I think it was the Convention for African Presidents in South Africa. Maybe somebody could say it better, but I remember he said, still in the same voice, that Africa needs a seat again at the table of the UN security, as Africa itself, not as by the way, but it needs a real table, a real seat where it can vote, where it can make moves, where it can make decisions as part of the UN, United Nations. And it's funny that Africa till now has not had a real seat as one of the biggest continents with the biggest population. in the world has not really had a real voice for itself. So that is also part of the AU 2063 conversation. 6 would be, I believe, continent of knowledge, innovation, and creativity, and that's the space I am in. I've been in the innovation ecosystem for the last 10 years, building accelerators, incubators, and innovation practices, best practices and data points and all that for the last 10 years. So that's also something I really love. And last but not least is a common destiny for Africa, where we have solidarity and shared values. Case in point is the officiating of Swahili as a continental language. That is a huge deal. An AU language also, to say the least. So that is a big deal. And it's something I would urge all of us to get into, not just the language alone, but what we've talked about even today, shared values, shared prosperity, etc., etc. And some key goals, as I already said, was economic growth and development, peace and security, good governance, integration, knowledge and innovation, cultural identity, which is what we all keep striving for. It's nice talking about Wakanda forever, but are we really it? And is Wakanda really our invention, or a Western invention that we are convinced this is how Africa needs to look like? Please, I love Black Panther, so don't think I'm hating. I'm curious. What is our identity really?
Very true.
What is it that drives us as Africans? What is it that will I meet Patricia Nakayenga? I hope I said that name right. Will I meet her in the streets in one of the African cities and be like, hey, you really are my person, like you're my peeps. We really get each other, you know? Yeah. Will I meet Olamide and be like, hey, I might be you might be Nigerian or Ghanaian or whatever, but we are African, and that's what matters. Will I meet Akena? Will I meet Alamin? Will I meet them and be like, you know, we got this? If I go to another country in Europe, wherever, whichever, and I'm stranded, can I depend on Elsie to be somewhere and be like, hey, you're African. I may not know you much, but I think I can help you. Freeman, Joshua, all those people, will I meet you guys somewhere in a random street in France or wherever, not Africa now, in any street in Europe, South America or North America, and you guys will be like, okay, we might not know each other, but we can take tea together or take a meal together and get to know each other without thinking, oh, you're Black, we are competing in another country. My friend, nobody cares. So what can we do together as Africans, even minus AU 2063? What can we do together as the youth? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate this, and this is very, very useful. Thank you so much. So just before Freeman would speak, Adeline had reached out that he has something to say. Adele, sorry. Adele, please, you can unmute yourself and give your contribution. So yes, if not questions, if you have contributions, you can feel free to share as well. We're here together to learn. So Adele, over to you, please. Just a minute, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Can you hear me?
It's loud and clear.
All right, great. I just want to, in a few seconds, appreciate the organizers of this. And I want to speak to one singular important fact, which is that conversations and communications which are rooted in words are very powerful. And, when things like this, are put together or come up, sometimes there are reservations as to, oh, it's not just talk, and we just talk about it, just conversations, and all of that. But I really want to speak to how important and powerful it is, because just like Wahiga, I hope I pronounced that right, spoke about camaraderie, coming together to identify what our identity is, having that togetherness wherever we find ourselves. All of these things, and even speaking to the goals set by the AU and all of that for Africa, all of these things, in my opinion, would not be possible if we don't converse or communicate about them, and they create the notion and the picture that we want to bring to reality. And then when we back it up by actions, they would come to fruition. So all I'm saying is conversations like this are really, really important, and they are really, really powerful to the realization of what we have set as goals for ourselves, our communities, and for Africa at large. So on that note, I really, really respect and appreciate the organizers of this for this. And everybody who has spoken here, everybody who will speak, everybody who's in tune with this, we're all on the track, and I appreciate everyone. I say thank you. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution. Very useful. Very useful.
Yeah.
I think Freeman has his hand raised. Please feel free to speak as well. Freeman Musa, if you can hear me.
Okay, now?
Yes, please. Do you have a question or you want to make a contribution?
Yeah, both actually. So let me start. Yeah, just 2-3 minutes and I'll be done.
3 minutes.
Like every other
contributor
has said. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah. But my major worry and concern as a developmental partner is actually more in the area of security, because after we talk about collaborations, we talk about every other area of the African Union agenda. Security is actually at the heart of it. And without a peaceful environment, there's no development at all. Until we are able to have a unified currency within Africa, that we are actually going to start getting stronger. Until we are able to have a unified security outfit as Africans. As it stands at the moment, there's no African state that can defend its territory and ensure that its citizens are safe and secure in isolation. None. So the issue of security and is actually one of the focal points of the African Union and Pan-African movement since beginning from the 1940s and 1950s. The forerunners of the African Union have actually always been stressing on this. And then these gaps have always been there. But as all the speakers have said, 2063 might actually seem so far, but it's as close as it is to us today. Now, the question is, and I'll actually ask this question sincerely, with all sense of sincerity, are we going to be willing vehicles to actually take these goals, this vision to 2063? Now, these are questions that are critical questions that we must actually ask ourselves. Now, I narrow it down to the Nigerian perspective. Today, we witnessed the handing over of a baton from President Muhammadu Buhari to the incoming president, the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, this baton is going to be handed over and over again. And looking at the entire demography, the old folks are actually exiting the space. By 2027, another 4 years, the younger Nigerians are going to actually be involved or should be involved. So, but if we are going to get involved, should the work have not started from now? Should we have not been better community developers? Should we have not been better actors with the society? I give you an instance. We'll have to look at interconnectivity and collaboration is key and critical. Now, starting with it, I come from Middle Belt, Nigeria. But I don't feel much more a Middle Belter until I'm outside of the Middle Belt. I don't feel much more better of a Northern Nigerian until I'm outside the Northern Nigeria. I don't feel much more a Nigerian until I'm outside of Nigeria. I don't feel much more of an West African until I'm outside of West Africa. And the same thing, I don't feel much more of an African until I'm outside of Africa. You know, when we meet outside these geographical constructs, we actually tend to see ourselves better. But once we come in and narrow in and into our identity, more of our identity, we tend to lose it. So I think I really want to applaud the organizers and the speakers. You guys did a fantastic job of listening to the entire conversation, and I believe that we should be having this much more often. Because if it stays for too long, we'll actually forget who we are because of the challenges around everybody. So, but if we can actually have much more of this and then have much more of this interconnectivity, I think it will actually serve as a reminder that we have a lot of work to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I imagine that your question is our own food for thought now, and that we should be asking ourselves, are we willing to be part of the wheels that will drive towards the change and implementation of the African agenda? What parts or what role will you play in it? Thank you so much, Musa, for your contribution. I think I'm taking the last one here in the chat room by Akena Judy Marshall. He or she said, I'm absolutely thankful for this opportunity over here. I must admit that it is very imperative for us, the young generation youth across Africa, to learn from our dark yesterdays and overcome the challenges we have at hand now. Talking about Agenda 2063, I love the engagement over here. However, we have a huge challenge at hand with communication and networking across the board. We are also challenged by the factor of resources in terms of pushing our agenda forward. We need a honest conversation in this regard. Thank you all for the privilege of your time. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akena, for your contribution, right? Very useful. And I think this is just a very good point to wrap up this panel session. And then we move into the next point of the agenda, which is launching the Afro-Champion community. I see from here that a lot of people already have that in interest or wish that or desire that, oh, let's have a community. Let's remind ourselves from time to time. Let's talk about this. Let's do this together. Let's collaborate. Let there be a networking channel across Africa, so that I don't see myself as a Nigerian first, but African who happens to live or is a citizen of Nigeria, and then Waiga sees himself as an African first, and then residing in Kenya. And that way, we all see ourselves first as Africans, and I think that's very useful. So I will just pause here now because I'm also checking. We have to end this meeting by 3:30. I'll stop now and share a video that tells us more about the African 2063. I don't know if that will force some conversation, but afterwards then we can also talk some more. All right, so I'm pausing this now. I'm using my mics, or I'm going to share my screen rather. I'm going to play a video. Please watch right now. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Africa has a vision. The Agenda 2063. Do you know Africa has a vision? The Agenda 2063 is the articulation of the core priorities of the African continent. Inaugurated by the African Union in 2015, Agenda 2063 has 7 aspirations. Aspiration 1 is to build a prosperous Africa. This is rooted in the values of inclusive growth and sustainable development. The core goals include high standard and quality of life, high educated and skilled citizens, healthy and well-nourished citizens, industrialization and economic transformation, modern agriculture, and environmental sustainability. Our second aspiration is political unity. This is rooted in the values of Pan-Africanism and African resonance. The core goals are to build a united Africa, to have continental financial and monetary institutions, and to have infrastructure connectivity. The third aspiration is for good governance. This is rooted in the values of respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. The core goals are to build a democratic values and to build transformative leadership and capable institutions. Aspiration 4 is to build a peaceful Africa. It is rooted in the value of security and stability. The core goals are to build a peaceful and stable Africa, and also to build a functional APSA. The fifth aspiration is cultural identity. It is rooted in common heritage. The core goals are the African cultural resonance, promotion of cultural heritage, and creative arts. The sixth goal is people-driven development. It is rooted in the potential of the African people. The core goals are to build an empowered youth and to strive for gender equality. The seventh aspiration is to become a global player. It is rooted in the belief of the African strength and the resilience and influence of Africa. The core goals is for Africa to become a major partner in global affairs and to have self-financial sustainability. What part of your work aligns with Africa 2063? Do you know Africa has a vision?
Thank you so much. I hope you all watched that and enjoyed it. I hope that it's useful and that has given some perspective to what the Africans Agenda 2063 is about, right? Okay, so please let's take a moment to appreciate our panelists. Please, I would like to see a lot of reactions and clapping emojis in the chat room. Please, let's say thank you to Mildred, thank you to Sarah Wana, thank you to Waiga Muturi, and thank you to Babayemi Olanio. Please do well to celebrate them in the chat room. You can use stickers, you can use, or you can reuse the reaction buttons as well. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a very useful engagement. I hope we've all learned a thing or even more. And we are going to go back home as we mark Africa's Day today. Yes, today is Africa's Day. Happy Africa's Day. And I hope that you're able to implement some of these strategies we've explored. Think again, how is my work contributing to the Africans Agenda 2063? What can I do differently? And how can I continue to make a change? How can I ensure that our political leaders are accountable? How can I foster collaboration between Africans, right? Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for Babayemi Olanio, for Waiga Muturi, for Mildred Tabane, Sarah Ubana. Thank you so much. It's been a very useful conversation. All right. So I would now introduce our community that we are launching today. And yes, CHL Africa is launching a community. And I have a short story to tell before we just get right into it. So let's take a quick imaginative ride to the future. Voila, it's 2060, and the world is very different than it was 30 years ago. Leif is a young girl from South Africa who now goes to a fully furnished public school, looking sharp and tidy. Her mother bids her goodbye, and as the school bus honked at the entrance of their ranch, her mother is a trader, and interestingly, her daddy owns a farm. And this is the same experience for a number of other children across Africa, even as far as the Kaoko land in Namibia. In the urban areas like Accra, Kinshasa, Lagos, Addis Ababa, Tunis, Nairobi, and more, Africans no longer worry to leave home. The systems are working. There's security, there's political accountability, there's employment, there's sound health systems, or there are sound health systems, there's tourism, and there's sustainability. Thanks to the AU's agreements with the 52 government leadership in the continent, Africans can now travel within Africa without visa. And at the center of this change is a community of old Africans who started out young in 2023 as a community with radical influence, convinced that change is possible and Africa is not a lost cause. This community founding members at a roundtable are enthusiastically sharing their stories to the younger generation, passing down the baton to uphold and cherish their labor, which all started as a spark and kept spreading like a wildfire. This spark is still starting with us, and I have just painted a picture of the future we want to intentionally create with the Afrochamps community. Welcome back to 2023, and let's get to work. So I'm super excited to announce that the Afrochamps community is being launched today. And what is this community about? It's a vibrant and dynamic community that unites passionate Africans from diverse backgrounds to drive a radical influence towards holding Africans, institutions, and government accountable to the AU's Agenda 2063, while redefining Africa positively through storytelling, advocacy, and social impact projects. So welcome, and I would like you all, if you've not registered, to be a part of this community. We are 10 members strong at the moment, and we are officially launching today. Please feel free, there's a link that will be dropped by my colleague on the call. So please write, fill in the form. It's some Google Doc. Yes, so join CHL Africa, join the Afrochamps community. We've talked a lot today about how there's a need for interconnectivity, how there's a need for change, how there's a need for collaboration, how we need to see ourselves as one, and only start by us even beginning to meet again, talk and discuss. And what are the benefits of joining the community? For one, we'll have a lot of similar networking events like this, a resource library where people can access resources that will be useful for them to implement their social projects, and also peer support group and mentoring, like we've said. So you're able to lean on each other's, we are able to lean on one another's shoulders, right? To implement change and make significant progress in Africa. I hope by 2060 or by 2063, the dream picture I've just painted of a great and thriving Africa would be a reality by then. And I hope that many of us will be alive to see that come to pass. Thank you so much. And it's that'll be all from me, actually. Thank you very much. Yeah, I see a lot of clapping. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of this team to make Africa better. We appreciate it. And shout out to everyone who has joined this call from the beginning till the very end. You're very amazing. You're part of our success story at CHL Africa, and we're happy to do this with you. Thank you particularly to Africa's Communications Week for believing in us and partnering with us to organize this event. Hopefully we'll see you all next year, maybe physically, who knows, and somewhere in Africa, right? Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And yes, I like it. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you, Alamin. Thank you, Priscilla. Thanks, Olamide. Thanks, Adele. I'll try to call as many people's name I can see. Thank you, Comrade. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you, Elizabeth. I think we have two Elizabeth on the call. Thank you, Freeman. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Stoy. Thank you, Yemi. Yes. All right, thank you so much. So we'll be putting this call just before we go, because we promised that to be a networking session as well. I would like you guys to drop your LinkedIn profile so that you can meet each other. The connection starts from now. The engagement or collaboration starts from now. So please feel free to drop in your LinkedIn profile, your contact, if you wouldn't mind, so that you people can meet up with each other. Thank you, Blessing. I see you. Thank you, Comrade, once again. All right, so while I just wait 5 minutes for people to just share their personal contact or LinkedIn pages or LinkedIn profile links so that you can meet with one another, I will be playing some music, and it's a wrap from us here. Thank you so much. Please ensure you buy something for yourself. It's World Africa Day and you're an African, so take care of yourself. Surrender, retreat. Bringing us promises, keeping us full. I heard them say, love is the way, love is the answer. That's what they say. But look how they see us. All right, thank you so much. Please feel free to connect with people. You can easily copy the link and save it, or just click from here to the link. I see Adele on Instagram, the founder of the Betterment Initiative for Africa. Awesome, awesome. So you might just copy the link if you are using and put it in your notes so that after this event, you can easily access that and also reach out to people personally. Thank you so much. Please let's follow Pekuzi Project. Let's follow Let's Create Africa. Let's follow Azar Initiative. And also follow Lei Attorneys. These are the initiatives of the panelists who had joined the session earlier. I'm sure your nice words and follow would also mean a lot to them. Thank you so much. All right, so you can also, my name is Ayomide Pastor, representing CHL Africa. I happen to be the founder as well. So let's meet on LinkedIn as well. Thank you. All right. So at this point, we'll call it a day. Please, if you can't turn on your video, maybe you can just take a group picture and we say bye-bye. Thank you so much, Adele. All right, are we able to turn on our videos or not? We want to take a group picture. I see Blessing dancing to the song. Thank you. I have a screenshot already. Thank you so much. Maybe I try one more. I will just try it again. That we have two copies. Okay, so if you can see CHL Africa. Okay. Thank you so much. So I got that. The wrap from us. Bye-bye. Please have a great day. Thank you so much. Nice to see you at POA. Been a while. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Nini. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Minife. Thank you, Adikune. Thank you, Comrade. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you, Alamin. Nice to see you again too. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Uluwat Fairway. Nice to meet you. All right. Bye, everyone.